The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
In Lakewood, New Jersey, we'll call him Mr. Werner. Adam Werner, although that's not his name. Adam Werner, his mother, was in the old age home in Lakewood. Adam Werner would go to the old age home every morning, and he'd have breakfast with his mother, and then he'd go to work, Shabbat as well. He would never miss a morning without breakfast with his mother. One evening, Adam's at home and he gets a phone call from the old age home. Mr. Werner, I'm sorry to tell you, but you're going to have to make arrangements. Your mother just passed away. Mr. Werner says, what? What are you talking about? I had breakfast with my mother this morning. She looked fine. She was vibrant. She looked great. What a shock. Yes, Mr. Werner, it's a shock to all of us. Please, make the arrangements. We'll take care of everything else. Come tomorrow morning, pick up the paperwork, take care of the funeral. I'm sure you'd want it in a synagogue. And if you don't have a plot in a Jewish cemetery, now's the time to make phone calls. Adam Werner, he doesn't know what to do. He hangs up the old age home. He picks up the phone. He calls up the Lakewood Jewish Cemetery on Route 70. $9,500 later, he has a plot. He calls up the rabbi of Sons of Israel in Lakewood, and he tells the rabbi, Rabbi, please, bad news, my mother just passed. I'd like to make the funeral in your shul. I'd like you to eulogize my mother. The rabbi says, okay, I'm sorry to hear the bad news. Of course, I'll eulogize her. Next morning, Adam comes to the old age home. He picks up the casket, the paperwork, brings the casket to the shul. The rabbi gets up. He delivers such a heartfelt eulogy. The people are crying. They take his mother, bring her out to Route 70 to the Jewish cemetery in Lakewood, and they bury her. And Adam says Kaddish. Adam comes home, and he begins to sit Shiv'ah. And that first evening, people start to come, and the phone rings in the kitchen. Somebody picks up the phone. He comes running in holding the cordless. Adam, I don't know how to tell you this, but your mother is on the phone. Adam looks up and says, that's not funny. That's tasteless humor. I'm sitting Shiv'ah for my mother. I buried my mother this morning. The guy says, Adam, listen, I would never make a joke like this, but your mother's on the phone. Adam says, enough, give me the phone. Let me find out who's making this bad taste, this prank. They hand Adam the phone. Adam, hello, who is this? Adam, this is your mother. What? Who is this really? Adam, this is your mother. Adam, I don't understand. You come every morning and you have breakfast with me in the old age home. For the last 4 years, you never missed a morning. How come you didn't come this morning? Adam says, I didn't come because I had to bring you to your funeral. I had to bury you. Adam, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm sitting right here in the old age home, in the same room that I was in yesterday and the day before. If you want, you can come right now, and you could see that I'm here. Adam Werner, he doesn't understand what's going on. He says, Ma, is this really you? She says, yeah. Ma, where are you calling from? He said, I'm calling from the old age home. Adam says, okay, Ma, I got to hang up. He hangs up with his mother. He calls back the old age home. Hello? I want to speak to Nurse White, to the nurse that I spoke to. I want to speak to somebody. The nurse gets on the phone. Hello, who is this? This is Adam Werner. Is my mother alive? There's silence. 2 minutes. The nurse comes back to the phone. Hello, Mr. Werner. There's been a terrible mistake. When I called you last night, by mistake, I told you that your mother passed away, It wasn't your mother. It was her roommate. You see, there are 2 beds in room 118. And instead of calling the next of kin of room 118 bed A, by mistake I mixed up the folders and I called the children the next of kin of room 118 bed B. By mistake I called you. Your mother is fine. She's still in the room. It was her roommate that passed away. He says, really? You mean to tell me that I picked up her roommate this morning, brought her to the synagogue, made a whole funeral, spent $9,500 on a plot in Lakewood, and buried her? And that wasn't my mother? I'm sorry to tell you that's right. Adam Werner hangs up. He calls back his mother. Ma, what happened? I heard your roommate died. Oh, yeah, Adam, she was such a sweet lady. I knew her now for almost 2.5 years. What a wonderful lady. She passed away last night. I know! I was the one that buried her, Ma. I was the one that made the funeral for her, Ma. Adam, really? He says, yeah. Now I got to go call her children and tell her kids that they weren't invited to their mother's funeral. What am I supposed to do? Adam's mother says, well, don't worry. She only has 1 daughter. I'll give you the number. Gives him the number. He calls up the lady who really passed away, her 1 daughter. He says, hello, my name's Adam Werner. There's been a terrible mistake. By mistake, the old age home, they called me instead of calling you. I thought it was my mother. I made a funeral. I had the rabbi eulogize your mother. I bought a plot in the Lakewood Cemetery. I buried your mother. I don't know. I'm so sorry. What should I say? It was all a big mistake. Suddenly, the lady's daughter says, wow, my mother, she is one lucky devil. What? Excuse me? What did you just say? She says, that's right. You see, when I was 17, I came back from college with an Italian. And I told my mother I'm going to marry him. And my mother told me that if I marry him, things will never be the same between us. And I went and I married him. And my mother and I did not speak for 25 years. And after my Italian husband died, I had nobody in the world. And neither did my mother. So I went back to my mother. I broke the ice. We began to speak again, but it wasn't the same. And at that point, when my mother got older, I put her in the nursing home. I didn't want to take care of her. And my mother would call me over the last 2 years, and she'd beg me and say, please, my daughter, I know you're upset, but you're the only one in the world I have. I'm begging you, when my time comes, when the nursing home calls you, please just give me a Jewish funeral and a burial in a Jewish cemetery. And you know what I told my mother? I said, Ma, when that nursing home calls me, I'm going to straighten the score with you. When they call me, I have one word at the tip of my tongue: cremation. And my mother used to cry every night. I can't believe that the nursing home, instead of calling me, they called you. Adam couldn't believe it. He calls his mother back. He says, Ma, you're right. This daughter, she's a real Mejnun case. Wow. Ma, I can't believe it. You don't understand. There was a big mistake, but now I understand why. If they would have called her mother, she would have cremated her. Min hashamayim, they called me. Adam's mother said, yeah, Adam, I want to tell you something. Every night, my roommate, this woman, when she went to sleep, she had a Tehillim right next to her bed. Every night, I used to hear her read Tehillim, and the last words on her lips every night was, Eibishter, Hashem, even my own daughter will not take care of me. She'll cremate me if they call her at the time of my passing. But I'm not scared, Abba. Lo irara ki ata imadi. En li al mi lismoch el avinu shebashamayim. Abba, I'm relying on you. You're the only one I have left. And when my time comes, Abba, you make a funeral for me. You bury me in a Jewish cemetery. And sure enough, at the right time, when she was passing away, by mistake, nursing home doesn't call room 118 bed A's children, but the folders get mixed up and they call room 118 bed B's child, Adam Werner, who went a funeral, a rabbi to give a heartfelt eulogy, and buried her in a Jewish cemetery. En li al mi lismoch ela avinu shebashamayim.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org